Hey, what's going on, everyone? So it's Zaximus again. Today, I'm going to go over some stuff in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I personally kind of played this off-meta build with the Merc or the Mercenary, but I really enjoy it. I do really well with it, and yeah, I'm surprised not many people play it. Plus, if you start looking up builds for the specific spec, you're not going to find a whole lot out there because this game's dead, even though it is the greatest PvP game ever made. But yeah, so I'll just kind of go through everything. You can kind of see here my battle record, right? So with this specific build, an innovative ordnance, I have 1,055 kills, 282 deaths, so a 78% kill death ratio. You can see on average I take about 4 million damage, and on average I deal about 5 million damage. This is only saying it's 5 million because we're looking at like Hutball and a bunch of other games where I don't get a whole lot of damage out. Now on specific games where you're on like the ship and you're trying to defend the bridge and stuff like that, I'll usually hit close to 9 to 10 mil damage on those games. In fact, the game I had earlier today, I hit 9.5 mil on that one. I think I was the only person above me was a Marauder. So this spec can do a lot of damage. It just, you have to play it the right way, right? And unlike other games, Star Wars: The Old Republic, while the objectives matter, the easiest way to win the objectives is by doing the most amount of damage. So having the most amount of people dead on the enemy team is the easiest way to play this game, which is fantastic. So I'll just kind of go through the abilities itself. So this is the spec I run for PvP. Obviously, you have your incendiary missile, your supercharged gas that you get automatically. Your first choice comes right here. I take eruptive flame, so passive periodic damage from incendiary missiles has 60% chance to erupt, burning up to 4 additional targets within 5 meters. So a lot of the damage I get out of this build is going to be AoE damage, and I am just pumping as much damage as I can on the conglomerate of enemy players because everyone likes to huddle up for some reason in this game. Next, you're going to take your passive barrier, so power shot, rapid scan, generate a power barrier, which increases damage reduction by 2% per stack for 15 seconds. This is obvious, you just don't want to die. These other ones are kind of like whatever. This is just a sticky dart. It's an extra explosive damage, which I guess you could take, but it's not nearly as good as taking power barrier in my opinion. Your next one, heavy shrapnel. So thermal detonator can hit up to 8 additional enemies. So this is huge. I use thermal detonator on cooldown the entire time I'm playing this game. So this is going to make sure when you get those big clumps, you're just throwing that thermal detonator onto those big clumps and you're just nuking everyone down. After that, you have to take power override. So reduces cooldown of concussion missile and power surge by 15 seconds. In addition, power surge grants a second charge, making your next 2 abilities with an activation time activate instantly. So if I'm already into a fight, sometimes if I'm doing an opener where I want to just murder someone down as fast as possible, I'll already have supercharged gas. So I'll pop supercharged gas, I'll pop power surge, throw fusion missile, followed by serrated shot into a mag shot, and then at that point it will usually proc my crit, which will give me a free power shot. And if they're still alive and kicking after that, I'm going to throw my incendiary missile, my thermal detonator, and then unload. And they're usually dead. Missile blast, we'll get into the whole rotation here in a little bit. I don't want to go too far ahead of myself. Serrated shot, and then energy rebounder. So when you take damage, the active cooldown of the energy shield is reduced by 3 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. In general, your defensives, so I have my defensives down here, like your defensives are super important in this game. You need to use them because there's so much damage going on in this game that you just need to be using defensives. Now, what you don't want to do is pop all your defensives at once. I'll usually separate and I'll use responsive safeguard by itself, and then I'll use these two together usually. So I'll use Kolto Overload and Energy Shield together if I absolutely have to. If I don't need to, if I could just pop an Energy Shield, I'll just pop an Energy Shield. But if I'm like super low, I'll pop Kolto Overload and Energy Shield together. That way I don't just get completely annihilated. As for hydraulic overrides, this is kind of situational. I'll use this to like either catch someone, chase someone down, or I'll use this to escape from someone. Yeah, and then sometimes I'll just use this as like to prevent like knockdowns or whatever, because there's a lot of abilities in this game that just knock you on the floor. So if I want to get out of that, I'll pop hydraulic overrides as well. So energy rebounder, mag shot, yeah, and then Colto surge. So Colto overload triggers at and can heal you up to 60% of your maximum health. Additionally, Colto overload lasts 2 seconds longer and heals for twice as much each time it restores. Easy, just more health, right? Like more health. This is responsive safeguard, so activates an advanced response system that absorbs all incoming direct single target damage for the next 6 seconds, reflecting 50%. So I love taking this, and you should absolutely take this. And the reason you should take this is because of freaking juggernauts and marauders, and anyone that has a melee build. What you do is if a jug jumps on you, and you're getting to half health, and you have like 2 jugs on you, just pop your safeguard, and if they're complete idiots, they'll keep attacking you, and then you'll just nuke both of them down with your AoE abilities, and they'll both die. If they're not idiots, they'll stop targeting you and target someone else, which is fine because now you're not dead. Lastly, trauma regulators. So while energy shield is active, you generate a stack of trauma regulators each time you receive direct damage. Stacks up to 10 times, blah 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 blah. Basically, same thing. You're getting more health out. Yeah. So this is the build I run, and I absolutely love it. As far as rotation, let's see here. I guess I could go to my ship to show. Oh, just ignore the chat. It's just everyone talking about the inauguration and Trump. And if you haven't played Star Wars: The Old Republic long, or if you're new to Star Wars: The Old Republic, or you're coming back after a long time, you should just go ahead and assume that Star Wars: The Old Republic general chat is the largest combination of most racist and idiotic and extremist information you'll ever see pass through a general chat. It's worse than World of Warcraft. But yeah, so we'll go in here real quick and we can kind of go through the rotation on the dummies here. Skip. Alright, so this is operations training dummy. There should be a PvP one. Where there it is. Alright, so I'm gonna go slow so you can kind of see it all, right? So before you start any war zone with this build, right, and realistically before you start any war zone as any mercenary ever, alright, the first thing you should use is either your recharge and reload or an ability like remote control Ebon Hawk, right? So as you see when you use it, I'm already starting to get charges of supercharged gas, and I get relentless ordnance. So I hit 10. Now that I've hit 10, what will happen is once the game starts, I'm going to throw a Colto shot on myself, which is going to give me relentless ordnance and mastery surge, possibly, right, depending on what you have, right? So I'm going to pop those, right? I'm going to wait for it to come off again, but that way you have it. Now you have this 10 seconds to get in combat in the war zone, right? Because you have those extra bonuses. So wait for the fall off again. So once you pop it, all right, and let's say I just got into the area, I'm going to pop my supercharged gas. I'm gonna pop this. I'm gonna hit him with the fusion missile into the serrated shot, into the thermal detonator, into the actual incendiary missile, mag shot, hammer shot, mag shot, and I'm just popping those off cooldown. Anytime I have a free time, I'm using unload, right? And then I'm obviously using my regular rapid shots and spillers here and there, right? And you're just essentially going through this, right? Like whatever comes off cooldown, we're making sure we hit it. We got our supercharged gas again. We're gonna refresh the incendiary. We're gonna hit him with the hammer shot. We're gonna hit him with the mag shot. I try not to hard cast anything, right? So if I have to absolutely hard cast, like look, this came off cooldown, I'll just go ahead and pop them like this again and get those dots back on the target. Alright, use my mag shot, keep going, I'm gonna hit him with another hammer shot. I got my supercharged gas again, right? And you can see the buttons I'm hitting right now, right? I'm just kind of going through this quickly. I have my unload, I have my mag shot procced. I see that that's falling off, so I'm going to go ahead and hit my serrated shot. Now, right now would be a time that I could go ahead and hard cast Fusion Missile. The issue I have with hard casting in this game, right, is because just about everyone has an interrupt. I'm pretty sure every single class has an interrupt in this game. What I don't want is to be hard casting Fusion Missile, which has a long, in my opinion, it's a long cast. It's 1.39 seconds. So that's 1.39 seconds that someone could just, in my setup, I just hit R, right? So someone would just hit R and all of a sudden, bam, worthless, right? So that's why I tried to not cast anything off cooldown. I tried to use Power Surge where I can to make sure I get everything off. I'm sure there's some people that could probably figure this out to maybe get the hard cast off without getting screwed over, but just from my own experience, that's the way I like to do it. I'm going to make a couple of videos probably on Star Wars The Old Republic showing my Warzone matches so you can kind of see what it looks like when I play, but this is for the most part the build. Let me go ahead and go through the gear real quick. So if you don't know how to get 338 gear, I would go look up. There's a bunch of videos on how to get 340 and 338 gear, which I believe is still the cap. I've been gone for a couple months now, but I run with 340 gears. You can see I get 300 gold augments on everything. The stuff to go through, right? So as far as your blasters, right? So you can look here, right? You want Versatile Barrel 105, you want Lethal Mod 105, and then you want, these are the PvP enhancements. You want the Advanced Adept Enhancement 99. So this is going to give you that crit and that power. All right, Color Crystal is just something I threw in there for 41 crit, plus it makes my crystal look cool or whatever. Augment right here. So you're going to see I use Superior Accuracy Augment 77 on my weapon. All right. You can see here, this one, same thing, Superior Accuracy Augment 77, same enhancement, same mod, same barrel, same color crystal. All right. When we look at the helmet, all right, I have the enhancement with accuracy, rating, and power. I have the lethal mod, I have the versatile armoring, and then I have the superior critical augment. Here, I have the critical augment as well, lethal mod, versatile armoring. So this is 340, and the reason this is 340 is because it doesn't need an enhancement, right? Right here, adept enhancement, so the critical rating again. I have the critical augment. I have the lethal mod. I have the versatile armoring mod. Versatile armoring, lethal mod, and then this time I have the nimble enhancement because I want a little bit more alacrity. And then I have the critical augment here. Coming here, I have another nimble enhancement. I have another critical augment. These are obviously going to stay the same for all of these, so I don't need to keep showing you guys all this, but these are going to be the same. Same, and then this is going to be critical augment, nimble enhancement, critical augment. This just has an augment on it, critical augment, critical augment, critical augment, critical augment. Now, for the big things that we need, right? So you're going to have these two specific implants, all right? So if you're not using these, you're absolutely wrong if you're running this build. So you're going to have overcharged cells, right? So this is going to make sure that priming shot, thermal detonator, and healing scan generate 3 supercharges. This is how my supercharge keeps coming up so quickly. Aside from the fact that I'm also spamming rapid shots in between, right? But this is significant in like getting your supercharges up because you want to essentially have supercharge up as much as possible, as often as possible, so you can just keep throwing incendiary charges at people. The second one, the concentrated fire package, that's going to be activating supercharged gas, makes your next rail shot, mag shot, or emergency stand critical hit. So when you saw earlier, right, I would use my mag shot, and all of a sudden it would say, hey, you can essentially, you would see that I would activate supercharged gas and immediately mag shot, and you can see here, rapid scan, both of these would immediately light up on my keyboard. Great. Fantastic, right? Because sometimes if I'm really low, instead of running that mag shot, I'll just pop the rapid scan real quick for health. But this is super important to have because you want to be able to just like slam abilities on cooldown, right? Like you want to be able to just pump damage as much as possible into people. Um, Now, as for your tactical, right? I run energized charges, so the duration of innovative ordnance's supercharged gas and supercharged burn are doubled, and their effectiveness improves. So this is basically going to directly apply to the damage output that you're doing and how well you can just sustain damage on people, right? If we look at details here, you can kind of see where I'm at. So I got 16,000 mastery. I have 22,000 endurance, right? So endurance is needed for PvP, right? It is the stat that you're going to want. Power, all right, so I'm sitting at 12,790 power. I'm sitting at 4,586 or 89 critical, so this puts me at 16.61% crit chance, right? You can see here the tech crit chance and the range crit chance. Alacrity, all right, so I have 7.97% activation time reduction. Fantastic for like making sure you get your abilities off in time. Accuracy, you don't really need accuracy for most of the classes in PvP, right? Accuracy, from what I understand, is more player versus environment, and I am more of a PvP Andy, so I don't know much of anything about the PvE stuff. As far as presence, I don't care about that. All right. Damage primary, so this is all just whatever. It's all just random stuff that doesn't actually matter too much. The big things are these details right here. So if you look right here, right, damage, 27,932 damage per second is the approximate damage per second. Survivability is 17,000 damage per second. So basically this is what I would need to be taking within 30 seconds to die based on my survivability. Support, so approximate healing dealt per second by standardized abilities is going to be 19,492 heals per second. But yeah, that is the innovative ordnance build that I run. I do need to finish leveling these bad boys up to 340. On my Juggernaut, I have all 340 gear, but I think once I get both of these up to 340, that will put me at 339 probably, which every little bit helps. So 422,000 HP, you know. Yeah, so one other thing I didn't talk about, right? So sometimes if you have a huge group and you're really trying to just like really spread a bunch of damage and you have supercharge up, right? So real quick, the supercharge, so increases periodic damage by 10% for 16 seconds and causes the next successful ranged attack on a target affected by your incendiary missile's burn to apply supercharged burn to the target, which deals 32,706 elemental damage. Now, that's important for why we're using our incendiary missile, right? What I like to do is I spread incendiary missile on people. So I'll go ahead and like be shooting incendiary missile on a whole bunch of people if I have the heat to do so. Because as a mercenary, if you hit max heat, you're kind of screwed on the abilities you can use, but that's where vent heat comes into play. However, you don't want to live at max heat. So that's why you try to use rapid shots to come down. You try to use vent heat to come down. But yeah, like sometimes I'll just be spreading incendiary missile so that whenever I use supercharged gas again, I'm just looking at big numbers coming up, right? Because this is directly going to affect your white damage. So like if I use incendiary missile, right, you can see here the damage is just dot damage, right, coming off, right? So this is the incendiary damage missile, or sorry, the incendiary damage coming off, right? Now let's say I hit, let me get out of combat real quick. Okay, so I throw incendiary missile on. Alright, so I hit him. Look at the damage change that's coming up. So where I was hitting 6k-ish, now I'm looking at anywhere between 8 to 15k, right? So it's just a huge damage increase. But yeah, that is essentially it for the video. It's 20 minutes long, so I'm sorry. If you would like to skip through and just look at stuff, you absolutely can. And then like I said, if you want to see how the build works in game, I'll start recording actual gameplay videos of war zones and whatnot. But yeah, Zaximus out.